right now. We've got our brand new setup here. You can see our players are just getting ready. We are going to be having Gilberto Gonzalez versus Alexander Cancel. And going to be quite an interesting match here because it is actually Generator versus Tenpai. Generator obviously is an incredible deck to see played because of just how many giant cards it's able to put out there on the board. But we know that Tenpai is pretty decent in and of itself. It didn't make a huge showing recently at the NAWCQ here, but it's still pretty crazy to see what that deck can do. So again, buckle up. It's going to be 9 rounds today of Swiss. We won't be playing a top cut because, of course, it is a regional, but this is it. This is exactly what you came here for. So let's go ahead and see. Looks like players are just drawing up, and it is almost time to duel. All right, so looks like we're going to go ahead and start by getting a Runick card on the board. It's going to be our Hugin. They're going to go ahead and discard a card there to search the deck. So let's see what we grab here. Always the field spell to get the fun started here. Again, what makes Runick such an interesting strategy is that it almost plays like a different card game. Being able to drop those quick play spell cards out of your hand just feels weird, right? It's not how we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless it was from your own hand during the battle phase. But with that Runick field spell now about to hit the board, there's our Runick Fountain. Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking forward to. So if you're a Tenpai player, you're not too concerned about, just a small presence on the field there, but looks like we're actually going to start off with the Pressured Planet Right Salt there. It looks like it is a quarter-century secret rare from the new Rarity Collection too. Again, a lot of fun in that set to behold. And speaking of fun, here comes Kashtira Fenrir. Just a very consistently powerful card. Really good card to add to a lot of different Tenpai decks in order to have that starter. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and activate Runick Dispelling here to randomize our hand here on Alexander's side and possibly get rid of that card and then mill some more. So it looks like we're going to say goodbye to Nibiru. Not necessarily a big deal for a Runick player to drop that, but then we're going to say goodbye to Lightning Storm, and it looks like one other trap card there as well. So not terrible situation there, but we are going to go ahead and recycle some of these Runick cards to draw 2 there, just to get a few more options. Now, because there's no monsters on the board, here comes Kashtira Fenrir being special summoned there. Again, if you're just joining us, this is only round 1 of a 9-round regional. So, man, if you did not get enough Yu-Gi-Oh! Today watching the Italian National Championship, good news, we got plenty of that here for you today. All right, so we are seeing Tenpai Dragon Pydra hit the board, and the field spell replaced with Sangen Summoning. So all of a sudden, all those fire monsters that are fire dragons are protected on Alexander's board. They're unaffected by the activated effects of opponent's cards. And what makes the deck so strong is that it gets to set up, right? It's not terribly worried about what your opponent's doing. It's just trying to, be able to play uninhibited, which makes sense. So it's going to go ahead and use the Sangen Summoning to add the Tenpai Dragon Chundra to the hand. And now that we've got Chundra, looks like we're going to go ahead and reveal it to special summon it. Doesn't seem like we have any effects in response there, so we're going to perform, I think, a Synchro Summon. Sometimes that looks like a Link Summon on the board, but it looks like we're going to go ahead and get our Bident. So bigger Dragon there to lead the charge. And we are going to see the Tenpai Dragon hit the board as well. So Pydra plus the Bident Dragon is probably going to make the Trident Dragon. Again, it's just good to see all of these big Fire Dragon Synchro monsters again, but it looks like we're going to go ahead and see Kashtira Fenrir activate its effect when it attacks. That'll be the first declared attack. It will banish that card. Then we're going to see the attack from the 10-star there, and then the activation from the hand of Sangen Kaimen. Sangen Kaimen will go ahead and add the Tenpai Dragon Vajra from the deck to the hand. Special summon it with the same effect. It attacks, then Chundra attacks, and that is game. So a very quick Mahjong-style victory here, just piling on the cards to victory there. And it just shows you that, like, it is a very powerful deck that you should not sleep on. You really have to establish a better board there. And I don't think there was anything that Gilberto could have done differently there. Sometimes with your Runick openings, you just kind of have what you have. But as you see, just lightning fast. We'll have to see if we can get the light points update a little bit more. But as you can see, almost no reason to, right? Very quick order there. Now, Tenpai Dragons are going to get a little bit more support in the next set, Infinite Forbidden. So you might be seeing more of them as time goes by. But lately, they've been a little bit of a glass cannon deck, right? It's Not necessarily something you can plan on to just your opponent to have nothing and you just to charge to victory, but if you happen to get that touch of death combo, it almost feels like a video game, right? You just tap them and it just boop, 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 we've got it. So going to go ahead and reset all the life points here on the judge's side. Yes, very quite clearly, 0 life points there, so let's go ahead and get that reset. So yes, we've got plenty of time there. Again, the counter is counting up, but when it hits 45 minutes, that is when time is up again. You've heard your head judge say it enough times, you have 45 minutes, you may begin. And this is really interesting to see basically a preview of Texas's best talent before we head into the North American World Championship qualifier in Austin, Texas. It's going to be July 19th through July 21st, and it's going to be a wild tournament because if you weren't aware, check that FAQ, the Infinite Forbidden is completely legal there. So monsters that are being called Fiendsmith, we'll see what the final name is, but you probably have seen Light Fiends get really popular in Fabled engines, and U-Bell engines, even in Sinful Spoil Snake Eye engines. So the Year of Light is about to begin, right? A lot of duels are like, man, I have faced so many fire decks as the opponent there. Alexander literally pile shuffling over each of the fire charmer there. Yes, we've seen a lot of fire, but I'll tell you, you're going to miss the fire attribute when it is just light and light services for the rest of the year because the Legendary Duelist pack is coming up with all those great light cards. The Seto Kaiba Structure deck is coming up with all those great light cards that haven't even been announced. Nobody knows what they do. But we know that it's Seto Kaiba, so they're probably going to be good. And then finally, yeah, we have the Infinite Forbidden, which adds some light and dark dragon support. But looks like we're going to go ahead and get started here for Game 2. And Gilberto is going to have a chance to go first here and does take it. And get right in there with the generator strategy, actually, which is exciting. But it looks like we are not even going to get to see the effect there because Infinite Impermanence hits the board. Again, generator got a lot of new tools, but ooh, there's the Herald of the Diviner, so maybe they should have saved it. About to find out now. All right, so going deep into the extra deck. Going to go ahead and use that Runick tip, not to search another card and banish one, but to get that Munin on the field. And that makes sense there again, performing a Synchro Summon of what appears to be Ib there. So that'd be Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. And that's what's so interesting about putting the Runick and generator strategy together, besides just the lore of the cards, right? You can see the art, there's quite a bit of sharing back and forth between them, but being able to have bodies on the board and have those disruptive cards, because that's what's great about Runick cards. You could actually just run them kind of in anything, because not only are they fulfilling those core conceits of cards, right? You know, destroy a spell or trap, or banish a card, or, you know, get rid of a special summon monster to negate its effect. You're also taking options out of your opponent's deck. And yes, that's very random, but this is a card game. You are going to shuffle your cards at one point. So it does feel kind of cool to be able to get rid of one threat and then maybe not have to worry about something else later. So there is a version of this where through those Runick effects, banishing and banishing and banishing, all of a sudden, you know, Alexander doesn't have any Mahjong pieces, so no more Tenpais to speak of. Taking a look there at the Mardell. Again, it's not every day that you see any of the generators on the board. I'm blessed that some of the folks at our locals actually do, you know, play this deck, and that's why you have a healthy respect for it. It's one of those things where, you know, you shouldn't just be showing up to your regionals. You got to live that Yu-Gi-Oh lifestyle, because you learn those lessons in a nice, safe environment, which is your local tournament there. So now we're going to go ahead and perform an Xyz summon. And always fun to be able to get out. I believe that's going to be Leviton Generator, Boss of Shadows there. And just setting a card. Now, you might think that's a really modest opening, but remember, we do have the Generator Field spell there, so we're about to get just assaulted by tokens. Token, 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 token. Alexander taking a moment there. Doesn't seem like he's got anything that he wants to do, but is going to go ahead and stop that with the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, getting rid of the field spell by discarding it since it was already on the field. Going to drop down the Tenpai Dragon Fadra there. So just taking another look at that Levy. Again, you don't see that every day, so let me go ahead and pull up the card text myself so we can read along with them. Thinking about that Chundra, going to go ahead and special summon it in attack mode there. So starting to look like last duel again, not having to worry too much about what your opponent has option-wise, because without the Runick field spell up there, it's a much different game than last time. It's really just that one card on the board and the Justiciar in defense mode, as well as the Xyz monster. And that's the thing, you kind of have to learn almost all the different ways to get through each different board in the format. You know, Tenpai Dragon, it's a relatively linear deck. It doesn't do too much different each time. There's about 5 combo variations in order to get to whopping amounts of damage, even through Pot of Prosperity doing just way too much. But you do have to learn how to play through it. So I compare it to like the mindset you have to have when you're playing a fighting game. So again, taking a look at Leviathan again, because that's on the board there, it does have that quick effect to tribute the Xyz Summon card. And then special summon a non-fairy generator Xyz monster from the extra deck, and then attach cards from the field and or graveyard to that special summon monster's material up to the number of materials that this card had, which is really fun when you combine that with the other great Xyz monster, the Jormungandr, generator boss of Eternity. And that's what we're seeing now on the field there. But it looks like we are at least trying to do the Black Rose Dragon, so again, you can only control one of those Jormungandrs, and it gets 1,000 attack and defense based on the number of materials. You can, of course, detach material. Each player gets a draw. And then they got to choose a card in their hand to attach to the Jormungandr. So that could really disrupt those plays. Looks like we are going to see the Black Rose Dragon get stapled on there to the back. But afterwards, everything gets destroyed anyway. So the cards still end up going to the graveyard. So we're kind of in a neutral game state, and it appears that Gilberto is going to go ahead and draw for turn. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and discard to special summon again. So we'll say the Vala just adds so much play action there because just give you easy access to everything. And all of a sudden, Mardell, the generator boss of light, is back on the board. Certainly a possibility to add another generator monster from the deck to the hand. And just really have more going on there than before. Of course, adding the field spell, the generator boss stage, trying to get those tokens. Didn't get to do it at first, but hey, when at first you don't succeed, blast them with your generator stage again. So going to go ahead and overlay there. 2 level 9s feels pretty good there. And again, just shows you got to be showing up to locals here so you know everything by heart. But even so, we're going to go ahead and activate the generator boss stage again, attaching the Cosmic Cyclone from the graveyard there to the Xyz monster. All right, so Gilberto thinking up his next play here. Again, lots of different options that you have across the board. I think that might be a Vorudras, but it doesn't quite look right. Fortunately, I'm a little further than Alejandra. But taking a look through his generator cards, again, really all you're looking for as a Tenpai player is how am I going to get through this? I'm not worried about the effect negations because my cards are unaffected. But I have to get the Sangen summoning up there first. Looks like we are going to combine these 2 tokens, tributing them for the effect there of Aurhar generator. Oh, no, excuse me. There we go. All right, so Infinite Impermanence made that a null and void effect anyway. Imperm obviously doing mad things here. Hard generator boss of Storm still getting it done, but not able to do it here. So again, we do have some tokens there. Alexander taking a look at his graveyard. Again, lots of Fire Dragons, but only 1 card in hand. Hey, if it's a Sangen Kaiman, I mean, it might be enough to get you going. But taking a look at the extra deck, you almost get a full deck profile there and some interesting tokens. But I think we're going to go ahead and summon the Tenpai Dragon Fadra. And so that is going to have the hard tribute the tokens there, and I think that Alexander's seen enough. Having taken the first game, he has a little bit of cushion. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and concede game 1, and they're going to begin their side decking process for game 3. Again, Alexander winning the first one with a Tenpai Dragon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punch combo, and Gilberto really closing it out with that hard generator boss of Storms. Again, you know, it seems like the deck doesn't do much until you just kind of like wait, and it establishes more and more field presence. And there's a lot of decks like that in the format, and they do seem to be the ones that are succeeding. The 2 qualifiers are big monsters and a great grind game. And so a good example of that would be Labyrinth, which we've seen on the top tables of recent YCSs like YCS Indianapolis, or even getting second place in YCS Raleigh. But that was then. This is now. And Gilberto cannot rely on the dueling of his brethren there. He's going to have to be able to get into this game and get it done all by his lonesome. Now, if you're thinking about, what am I going to side deck, what am I going to add, as a Tenpai Dragon player, you do get the chance to just go second here. But as you can see, it's not that easy. It's not just, oh, cool, I'll go second. Oh, he opened broke, Let me go ahead and just tap, 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 tap. We're good. You still have to be able to charge through all of those monsters. So we'll see if he is able to pull out a Tenpai finish here, or if Gilberto is just going to be able to control the board again. We've seen Gilberto's deck kind of backfire, right? It doesn't really feel great to just have the field spell, maybe a couple of different cards that you can use, and maybe you have mutant defense mode. It's not enough to be able to get through all of the Tenpai Dragon's assault there. So one last pile shuffle there for Alexander, and hopefully he is able to get it done. Again, this is just the first of 9 rounds. So while one of these duelists will likely be the victor, I don't think we're going to get a draw here considering there's only been 15 minutes of the 45 minutes used up so far. They still have a long tournament ahead of them. And again, any one of these tournaments is a marathon, not a sprint. So don't get discouraged. People are like, oh, I'm X2, I should drop. But if every X2 drops, might be a spot in the top cut for you yet. All right, duelists are going to go ahead and shuffle and cut there. And we'll find out. Looks like by setting the hand on the board, Alexander indicating that he is not going first. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the Runicks. And almost put the Ib there. No, she's a great and accessible card. But now we're seeing Jerry the Runick Fangs there. Again, when it's destroyed by battle, you get to go ahead and target a card on the field and destroy it too. So just a little bit of defense there against the overall Tenpai strategy. It looks like we're going to see Lapter there, Shadow of the Generator bosses. One of the few small monsters in that deck. Going to go ahead and tribute itself. And let's take a look in the deck to see what Generator boss monster comes out next. All right, so it looks like we're seeing Vala again. Vala is certainly helpful there, again, allowing you to send other generator cards from your hand and then just special from the card, banish it when it leaves the field, but obviously it's a little easier. And then when it's special summoned, you can go ahead and grab a generated monster from your hand or graveyard and special summon it. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and see Mardel. And with the World Legacy Monstrosity, I mean, so many great 9s there. Why don't we add some more 9s on the board? So it looks like we'll also see Hela there. And really just a great family card. It's almost unbelievable when you play against it because you're just like, that is a lot of 9s. And yes, they do brick just like every other duelist who relies on too much of one card or the other. But when you really do get to see it, when you just happen to get that Lopter or maybe that World Legacy Monstrosity, it's so nice to be able to be like, no, check this out. Big monsters from the deck. Not a fusion, not a synchro, not an siege, just playing it like you get it. But that Jerry, the Runick Fangs, is going to be kind of difficult to deal with, so we'll see how that ends up impacting the duel. But Nibiru, the Primal Being, is a great answer there. The token's going to go right in front of the extra monster zone there, possibly telegraphing the ability to use something like Relinquished Anima, although the Effect Veiler going to the graveyard. Obviously, you would have loved to see that. A little different timing there. Now, taking a look there, it's not a hand being held, but it looks like we are just looking at the Vala Seder of the generator bosses. Needing to study my Nordic just a little better before I came to cast here, but doing our best here with just some really interesting monsters from throughout mythology. It's a great thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. There's always a vibe, right? Whether you want to play Mahjong Dragons or certain bosses of old. There's always a way to feel like, no, I'm getting my duel's worth today. Speaking of duel's worth, looks like Alexander's going to go ahead and draw for turn, and I think I just saw the Sangen summoning, so we are going into the deck. It's Mahjong time. Those of you who actually play Mahjong probably are pretty impressed by the fact that the deck really translates well. Again, the central mechanic of that tile-based game is to draw a card for turn and then discard something. And doing exactly that to sculpt the hand here. Going to go deep in the deck with Sangen Summoning, grab something, and then you got to discard. But that's okay, because, Tenpai Dragon Padra can bring some stuff back. Looks like we're adding the Tenpai Dragon Padra. Pydra. So we've got our white Mahjong piece there. And we're going to go ahead and discard the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Probably fine. You'd think you'd see the Runick tip, and obviously without the field spell there, that would have been huge. Gilberto staring down the board, just wondering, okay, do I have enough? I put a lot of stuff into that token. The Tenpai Dragon Pydra's effect is going to go ahead and add the Sangen Kaimen from the deck to the hand. And because there's a Fire Dragon monster on the field, we'll immediately see Tenpai Dragon Chundra, and then that's going to go ahead and get Synchro summoned off here. And are we going into the Black Rose Dragon like we did last time, just clearing the board? Nope, looks like we are instead going to Bident. So next up, Bident is going to go from 7 stars into our 10th star here. And not looking too bad. Now we've got the Sangen Kaimen during the battle phase, special summoning the Tenpai Dragon Fadra, allowing for the special summon via its own effect of Tenpai Dragon Chundra. Tenpai Dragon Chundra will go ahead and use its effect. And now we got Pydra on the board too, so plenty of different attacks, no damage, and all kinds of fun things to do. But it looks like before we even enter, we're going to go ahead and use that quick effect. Oh, there's the Trident Dragon. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and destroy multiple cards here, including the Sangen summoning, doubling the attack power of the Trident Dragon, special summoning the other 10-star. And oh, big numbers there. Alexander offers the handshake, Gilberto accepts, and that is the game. Again, Runick, certainly powerful, did as much as it could to put great monsters on the board there, but it's a reminder, if you're going to go first, you need to put up some defensive strategy because you never know if a Fire Dragon is coming for you next. So here's the good news. We still have 8 rounds left at our regional qualifiers today, but in just a moment, we'll be interviewing Alexander to see how it feels to play Tenpai Dragon after not seeing a whole lot of it at the YCS or any of the nationals over in Europe. We'll be right back with an interview right after this. Right back with the winner of our first featured match here with Alexander again. Always cool to see Tenpai. I know maybe not every duelist agrees, but it's actually a really hard deck to play because you kind of have to know the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to punch through it. So talk to me, how does it feel when you're going up against a deck that you're not sure, okay, where do I even begin to start attacking with my Fire Dragons?
So I actually know that deck very well.
Okay.
I've lost to it several times. So that's like the bane of my existence. So I really got lucky game 3 that he didn't summon the negate off of his monstrosity, because I probably should have held the imperm for that. But I didn't want him to get to boss stage, and boss stage just the whole game gets out of control with that. And I only had Nib imperm or Nib Veiler, and after that, I think his Nib token was like 11,000 attack, but the no battle damage by Pager really comes in and seals the game.
Tenpai Dragons definitely help. We are cursed or blessed, depending on how you look at it, at our locals with a generator Runick player, and it is weird, you're right about the boss stage, where it just gets so out of hand. Yeah. Now, I got to ask, are we playing for our invite today, or have we already locked in the North American World Championship qualifiers?
I'm just playing to play.
Okay, just playing to play. Well, it's a right attitude to have it again. You're off to a really good start. Granted, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but why don't you go ahead and get yourself a little bit of fresh air and whatnot. We'll be back with 8 more rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right after this, and hey, if anything like that last game, it's going to be a good time. We'll see you soon.